Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the best SUVs in Grand Theft Auto Online. I saw a few comments on the last video about what cars you guys would like to see in part 2 of this, and I've taken that into consideration. Now, how cars are getting onto this list again is by looks, how cool they are, customization, and performance. Those are the 4 things we're looking for, so as long as they, fall into one of those categories or maybe a few of them, they're going to be good for this list. Anyway guys, let's get right into it, starting off with number 5. Alright guys, so number 5 we have the Bravado Grassley. Now this thing is a very common vehicle in Grand Theft Auto, but is not a common vehicle for people to actually own. Now the car itself is not that fast, but it does have pretty decent handling and it has a good amount of customization that you can actually do to it. You can get this thing off of the street, they just drive around, and I actually saw one right before I started recording this, so you can get it off of the street, or you can get it off of Southern San Andreas Super Autos for $29,000, which is very cheap. It's super cheap, it's super underrated. Honestly, a pretty good SUV for the money. For 29 grand or for free, you can't really go wrong with it. I personally really like my Grassley. I've done a couple of customizations of this thing, and every single time that I do one, it always turns out well. I always like how it looks. This is my favorite customization that I've done so far, but I might do another one soon. Anyway guys, would definitely recommend picking up a Bravado Grassley. Super underrated. You will never see somebody else driving one of these. That's it for number 5. Let's move right into number 4. Alright guys, and at number 4 we have the Ricardo. Now the Ricardo, again, like the Grassley, is not a super fast vehicle, but it does handle pretty decently, and I would say it is probably a little bit faster than the Grassley. It's an extremely underrated car. It came out with the game all the way back in 2013, just like the Grassley. Both really underrated cars. You never see people driving them in online anymore. Obviously there's kind of a reason for it. They're not the fastest vehicles ever, but I still think they are really cool. The Ricardo actually has a little bit of customization that you can do to it, not much, but there is some stuff you can do. Overall, I think it's a really good looking car. It's based off of an Audi Q5 / a Porsche Cayenne. Kind of depends which end of the car you're looking at. Obviously, if you're looking at it from the front, you can sort of see a little elements of Audi there. From the side, it kind of looks more like a Porsche, I would say. And from the rear, I would say it looks more like an Audi. Overall, I think it's a really, really good car, especially for the money. You can get this thing off of Southern San Andreas Super Autos, or just right off of the street in Grand Theft Auto Online. It's super underrated, super cheap. Definitely would recommend picking one of these things up. It's a super good car. Anyway guys, that's it for number 4. Let's move right into number 3. Alright guys, at number 3 we have the newest car on this list, which is the Dundreary Landstalker XL. This thing was added with the Summer Special DLC last summer. It is a super underrated vehicle. I never see people driving these for some reason. I know a lot of people do like them, and I know a lot of people do drive them, but I wish more people would actually just drive them around in online, because I think it's an absolutely sick vehicle. It's actually got some decent customization you can do to it. It's got front bumper options, side skirt options, hood options, and roof options, as well as, I believe, rear bumper options and exhaust options. As you can see, I've got mine completely murdered out. It's just completely black. I think it looks amazing. I use mine as a mafia sort of vehicle, which I think it suits it very well. Now the Landstalker XL is actually decently fast. It's pretty quick. It's definitely quicker than the last 2 cars on this list. It has really good handling, actually. It has really good handling as well. Definitely better than the last 2 cars on the list, and maybe better than one of the cars coming up on the list as well. Now the Landstalker does cost quite a bit of money. It is about $1.3 million, which is, quite steep for an SUV, I think. Especially considering that this is not, one of the fastest SUVs in the game. It's pretty good, but it's not that fast. But I do think it is a worthy purchase if you guys have some extra money lying around and you want a really cool SUV. The Landstalker XL will not disappoint you. It is absolutely sick. Anyway guys, that's pretty much all I got for number 3. Let's move right into number 2. Alright guys, next up at number 2 we have the Gallivanter Baller LE. Now the Baller LE is definitely one of the cheaper vehicles on this list. It only costs about $150,000 in Grand Theft Auto Online. You can get it off of Legendary Motorsport. There is of course the regular Gallivanter Baller, which you can get off of the street for free, which is also a good option if you can't afford this thing. However, the Gallivanter Baller LE does come with some cool features. It has a carbon grille and a bunch of different carbon features on it. As you can see, the struts for the roof are all carbon fiber, as well as this pinstripe on the side of it that wraps all the way around. It has a carbon rear diffuser as well. Overall, very good looking vehicle. Definitely my favorite baller in the game, that's for sure. It's quite quick in a straight line. It doesn't have the best handling, I won't lie. It's all-wheel drive, but it feels like very strange. I don't quite know how to describe it. It just doesn't handle as well as I would expect it to, but that's not a knock against it. It's still a very, very good vehicle, especially for only $150,000. The Baller LE also has an armored version if you would like that. It costs, I think, about double of what the regular one costs. It takes 2 RPG shots to actually kill it, and it has bulletproof windows, which is pretty cool. I would definitely recommend looking into that if you guys are interested in an armored vehicle that's, you know, kind of cooler. Overall, the Baller LE is a great vehicle, I think, especially for the price point which it's at, which is, you know, $150,000. I don't think you can really go wrong with it. It's a great looking vehicle. Probably one of the best looking SUVs in the game, if I'm being honest. You're probably not going to win any races with it, but at least if you do enter a race with it, you're going to be in the best looking car that's in the race. Anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much it for number 2. Let's get right into number 1. Alright, guys, at number 1, we have the Lampadaddy Novak. Now, the Novak is a very good car for the price in which it's at, which is $608,000, which is pretty cheap by today's standards for such a good performing SUV. It does cost a little more than the Tauros, and I would say that the Tauros is a little bit better performance-wise, at least in a straight line. The Novak, however, does handle extremely, extremely well. It is still very fast. Looks pretty good in my opinion. I think that the Rebla GTS looks a little bit better than this thing. I'd put this thing on about an even level with the Tauros. I like how they look about the same, I would say. There are definitely better looking SUVs out there, I would say, but the Novak is a very good performing SUV for the price, and it is not a bad looking SUV for the price either. This thing could definitely win you some races, especially if the races are more twisty. If there's some long straights, the Tauros will take off on the Novak, but in the corners, the Novak will outperform the Tauros quite easily. Now, the Novak does have some pretty interesting customization. It has hood options, front bumper, side skirts. It also has wing options, rear bumper options, exhaust options, as well as roof options, as you guys can see up there, as well as all the normal stuff like window tint and rims, all that sort of, you know, usual stuff. So there you have it, guys. That's what we got at number 1. Definitely a very good car. I definitely recommend picking this thing up out of all the cars on the list. This or the Baller LE. They're both very, very good SUVs. The Landstalker XL is very cool too, but it does cost a lot of money. The 2 cars that I had at the start, the Bravado Grassley and the Ricardo, definitely are some of the cheaper options if you don't have a lot of money in GTA, but you want a really cool SUV. Definitely pick those up. Anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much it for the best SUVs in GTA Online Part 2. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my list. Give this video a like if you enjoyed or if you learned something. Dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you guys are new. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.